Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite. I'm your host, Jim Chapman, and today I am bringing you another case of a bad teacher. Now, before I get into it, make sure wherever you are listening that you hit the follow button and subscribe to the show. Also, if you would like to become a celebrity supporter of Exposed and get the commercial-free early releases, bonus episodes, files, and even quarterly gifts, make sure you check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/exposedpodcastfiles. So let's get into today's episode. And look, it's not common that I cover male student-teacher relationships that are inappropriate, but as I was researching a completely different case, I stumbled across the case that I'm going to cover today. And I was sickened, I was shocked, and about 100 other adjectives you can think of, and you have got to hear this one. And this case revolves around a former teacher by the name of Tad Cummins, who in 2017 kidnapped his student, a 15-year-old high school freshman named Elizabeth Thomas, and went on the run with her for 3 months before eventually getting caught. So today we will break down that case from the early red flags to the nationwide manhunt and beyond. So settle in, grab some coffee, whatever, and let's get started. Now, to understand how this could all occur, we need to go back to the beginning. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the victim in this case, Elizabeth Thomas. So Elizabeth was born in 2001 in Tennessee, and she grew up in what, many would consider a turbulent household. By 2016, at just 15 years old, she had endured alleged severe abuse from her mother, Kimberly Ann Thomas. Now, that abuse included being thrown downstairs and locked in a basement. Her mom allegedly banged her head up against a washing machine. And there were just many more instances of abuse. Now, Elizabeth was homeschooled and her parents were divorced. So when Elizabeth reported this, charges were placed against her mother, and Elizabeth's father gained sole custody. And at that point, she transitioned from homeschooling to public school for the first time in her life, enrolling as a freshman at Culleoka Unit School in rural Culleoka, Tennessee. And Culleoka, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, is a very small unincorporated community kind of near the center of Tennessee. Only about 5,000 people in this community, and certainly not the type of place you would expect what I'm about to tell you about occurring. So school should have been a fresh start, but it wasn't easy. Elizabeth faced bullying, pretty heavy bullying from classmates, being not only new to the school, but new to school in general. And that is where Tad Cummins really comes into play. So Tad Cummins was a 50-year-old married health science teacher at that school, and he was known for his charismatic personality. He had a wife, Jill, and 2 other daughters, and on the surface, he seemed like a pillar of the community. He would invite students to church. He was very active in his church and really positioned himself as a mentor. And Elizabeth, seeking support amid her family troubles and her school struggles, she would confide in him at school. And what started as innocent conversations quickly crossed lines. And this is what these predators look for. They don't try to groom these students that have like the perfect life. No one has the perfect life, but they have a good, stable home life, because those people are going to tell pretty quick. They look for these people that are struggling and they play off their emotions. That's what was happening here. And to sum this up, the teacher, he saw what was going on with this 15-year-old girl. He sensed those vulnerabilities and he knew she was having a tough time. He capitalized on that. That's what sick motherfuckers do. The grooming process had begun. And Cummins begins to invite Elizabeth to church with his family and build what appeared to be kind of a paternal bond with her. But behind closed doors, things turned quite sinister. He discouraged her from seeking therapy. He would discourage her from antidepressants, saying they would change her. He would isolate her. And this isolation tactic, of course, another classic grooming type behavior. Now, imagine being 15, you're dealing with all this trauma at home. Your mom has gotten into all this trouble because you reported her because she was beating you and all these sorts of things. You're getting all this bullying at school, and you're having this adult authority figure tell you they are your only ally. I'm the only one you can trust, right? It's manipulating, and it's setting the stage for what would come. Tad Cummins would continue the grooming, and one aspect and way that he would do that is he would tell her lies, just flat out lies to impress her. At one point, he told her he was a CIA operative. And at one point, he told her he was a millionaire. And when you're a 15-year-old girl and this is a 50-year-old guy telling you this, you're going to eat that up hook, line, and sinker. And that's what she did. So by late 2016 and early 2017, the relationship between Tad Cummins and Elizabeth had veered into some pretty dangerous territory. Elizabeth later revealed in interviews that Cummins started making very inappropriate sexual comments. He would say things to her like, "I bet you'd look pretty nice naked." He would engage in sexting with her via Instagram, and he would have sexually explicit conversations with her inside of his classroom. Not only that, but later it was discovered that during this time, they would go into the teacher's closet, into his closet, and he would make out with her and grope her, fondle her. And look, Elizabeth was scared. She didn't know what to do. I mean, she was 15 years old. And when she tried to distance herself, he would threaten to kill himself, or he'd threaten to hurt her dad. Typical things, unfortunately, that these child rapists tell their victims. If you ever tell anybody, I'll kill you, I'll kill your parents, I'll kill myself. Now, when things like this occur to this level, it's only a matter of time before something happens. Somebody would notice something. In this case, is no different. And on January 23rd of 2017, a 12-year-old student witnesses Cummins giving Elizabeth what the student would describe as a romantic peck on the lips in his classroom. And he tells a friend what he saw. And it bothered this student so much, the next day, the student even asked Cummins about it. Later, the student reported it to school officials, and that report, of course, triggers an investigation by school officials and detectives. So, of course, shortly thereafter, both Cummins and Elizabeth are asked about this. Both denied any impropriety. As a matter of fact, Cummins would claim it was a paternal relationship. I treat her, I look at her like my daughter, and I'm trying to take care of her. I feel sorry for her, that sort of thing. And Elizabeth, under pressure, she goes along with it. And authorities, they seize her phone, and they would uncover some out-of-school calls to Cummins. And at that point, the school and detectives, they order both of them to stop all contact with each other while this is investigated. Now, oddly, at this point, to my knowledge, he was not asked to leave the school at that time. And as you can imagine, it was not long before the kids in the school, they find out what's going on. I'm sure in lightning speed, and the bullying to Elizabeth intensifies. She would say later that it was just brutal what the students were saying. And Cummins is finally suspended. This is on February 6th of 2017, but not until Elizabeth was spotted in his classroom for around 15 minutes after they had told he and Elizabeth, y'all don't need to be with each other or around each other while this investigation is going on. So he gets suspended, but Cummins continues to contact Elizabeth. He coerced her to maintain this secret communication. He would communicate with her through social media, on Instagram, and it was there that he starts pressuring her to run away with him. So let's get into March of 2017. And Cummins, he actually starts planning for an escape. Now, the later investigation would show he borrowed $4,500 in cash from a bank, and his computer records showed that he was researching teen marriage laws by state. You can't make that shit up. He even fills a Cialis prescription on this day, and he would even purchase hair dye from a local store. On March 13th of 2017, he would pack clothes, toiletries, 2 guns, and leave a note for his wife saying that he was going to Virginia Beach to, quote, clear his head. Now, at the same time, at Elizabeth's home, she would wake her sister up very early that morning and tell her, quote, if I'm not home by 6 p.m., to call the police. So at that point, someone picks Elizabeth up from her home and drops her off at a Shoney's in Columbia, Tennessee. This is around 7:30 that morning. And from there, Tad Cummins would pick her up. And off they went. And they head south through Alabama, where they discard their phones in the Tennessee River, and they did that to avoid being tracked. And Cummins dismantles the car's GPS with a screwdriver. He unhooks the radio. They even swap the license plate with one from an abandoned vehicle. And they zigzag across states in kind of a weird pattern. I guess he was trying to avoid being tracked. Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and finally, California. Now, as you can imagine, life on the run for this 15-year-old girl is a freaking nightmare. Cummins kept a gun in the car console. He wouldn't let her out of his sight, and he controlled every single aspect of her existence. In hotels, he would make her shower with the door open. He would sleep naked next to her in bed. He would restrict her food. And he would even make comments saying, I like, quote, skinny girls. They dyed their hair in Oklahoma. Elizabeth dyed her hair red. Cummins dyed his hair black. And in Utah, he would buy her alcohol, get her drunk. He would call her his wife and talk about marrying her. He even updated her Instagram bio to reflect that. Now, they attempted to kayak to Mexico from San Diego. He actually bought a $1,500 two-person kayak, but he sold it to somebody else when he figured out this is way too dangerous and I'm going to die trying to kayak from San Diego to Mexico. So plans shifted for him, and he decided he wanted to go to Panama or to what he called free land in Mexico. He and Elizabeth briefly stayed at the Black Bear Ranch commune in Northern California, but they were asked to leave that commune after Cummins brandished a knife and screamed during an argument with Elizabeth. But Elizabeth was not as dumb as this piece of shit thought she was. She was secretly collecting rocks from each state, and in her mind, this was potential evidence. And she even spotted an Amber Alert about herself on a hotel TV. She described feeling dirty, disgusting, hungry, and terrified of this guy. And for 38 days, she endured isolation, abuse, uncertainty, no running water, no electricity, surviving on plants at some times during this trip. However, the net was closing in for Tad Cummins. So let me tell you a little about the other side of this investigation. As soon as Elizabeth was reported missing, which incidentally was 12:45 p.m. on the same day she went missing, March 13th of 2017, authorities issue a nationwide Amber Alert. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation starts digging into Cummins' activity online, and that's where they uncover his teen marriage searches. And tips would pour in from all over the country. Cummins gets added to the U.S. Most Wanted list just a week after the abduction, and the heat was on. As a matter of fact, his wife, Jill, would even hold a short press conference begging for him to turn himself in. And here's what that sounded like.
Like so many of you, I'm deeply troubled by what has happened in the past few days. I certainly can't begin to explain why I think this occurred, but I do know one thing. I had no idea my husband was involved with anything that could have led to all of this. My heart breaks for the family of Beth Thomas. I want her home just as much as the rest of you, but I'm also very worried about Tad. To that end, let me speak directly to my husband. Tad, this is not you. This is not who you are. We can help you get through this. No matter how far you've gone or what's happening right now, God's grace is sufficient for you, and He wants you to come home. Your family wants their Poppy back. Please do the right thing and turn yourself into the police and bring Beth home. To those of you in the media, thank you for helping to spread the word. Help us to get this message out as far as we can, because we need help to find Tad and Beth and to bring them home safely. Thank you, and God bless.
Now, not only did this sound like a very nice lady, and I'll definitely be posting a few pictures on the Patreon regarding this case, but I'm telling you, y'all, this lady looks like just a good, God-fearing woman who is completely mind blown by what her husband has done. And a lot of these predators out there, they're like chameleons, man. They can change their spots quick. And you can see in this lady's face, she had no freaking clue this guy was like this. Now, March 20th of that year, more pressure mounts as the police release surveillance footage of Cummins buying hair dye, and they also released the last known picture of Elizabeth. Over 600 tips are received that day, but sadly, no confirmed sightings. So time passes, lots of time. And in cases like this, it usually takes a breakthrough tip. And that's what comes in out of California, about 60 miles south of the Oregon border. A 29-year-old gas station attendant, his name is Griffin Berry. He offered the pair work and a remote cabin, and that was just going to be in exchange for labor. Now, he would grow suspicious because it was pretty clear that this girl was very young, and I guess maybe their mannerisms wasn't like a father-daughter thing. It maybe was clear to him, or he was certainly suspicious that they may have more going on there. So he has a friend check online and see if there's any news stories, that would look like these people being posted online. And sure enough, they see that Amber Alert posting. So he calls authorities and he says, I think these people are here. And police actually had the VIN number of the vehicle they were in, and they asked him to confirm that VIN, and he was able to do that. And police set up surveillance. And on April 20th of 2017, which was 38 days after the abduction, they raid that cabin. And Cummins surrenders. He doesn't resist, but he does whisper to Elizabeth to claim that the relationship was consensual. But she told the truth. It was kidnapping. Officers, they basically shouted, hands up, it's over. And Elizabeth would later call that the best day of her life. And the police at that point, this is big news, man, national news. And they hold a 15-minute press conference announcing not only the capture of Cummins, but a lot of details that didn't come out until after. And I'm going to play that press conference for you now. Here's that.
Deputies found the Nissan Rogue that's been at the center of this nearly 6-week search early this morning, and were able to confirm through the VIN number on the vehicle that this was, in fact, the vehicle that's been the subject of this ongoing Amber Alert. Authorities in Siskiyou County kept this car under surveillance for several hours, and as daylight broke this morning, they were able to take Tad Cummins into custody and safely recover Elizabeth without incident. With more, here's Director Mark Wynn.
Thank you, Josh, and good afternoon. As you've seen from the pictures we've shared with you over the past 6 weeks, Elizabeth Thomas is a beautiful 15-year-old girl. She's loved by her friends, her family, and the community of Columbia. This afternoon, we couldn't be happier to tell you she will soon be on her way back home to Tennessee. This morning, authorities in Siskiyou County followed up on a tip called into TBI headquarters late last night and found Elizabeth and arrested Tad Cummins. She will soon be on her way back home. Tad is in custody of law enforcement, facing a set of charges that could keep him from behind bars for many years. To the public, I can't say how thankful we are for all your tips, your concern, and your support, having made the difference in this 6-week search. As we have said from the start, it only takes one tip, and this is yet another example of the value of the public helping us to rescue a kidnapping victim. Because of the remote nature of the area where the pair were found, agents from the TBI, FBI, along with investigators from the Maury County Sheriff's Office are currently flying on TBI aircraft to get there as quickly as possible to meet with local authorities and make the final arrangements to bring Elizabeth home. She will be flying back home on TBI aircraft. We are thankful to all our partner agencies in this search, including the FBI, Maury County Sheriff's Department, and the District Attorney General for the 22nd Judicial District, Brett Cooper.
Thank you, Director. I just want to say that as a prosecutor, one of the greatest parts of my job is to assist law enforcement in doing their job. And now for well over a month, I've had the pleasure and the honor of helping our local, state, and federal investigators as they tried to find Elizabeth Thomas. And it's been a long time coming, but today their hard work paid off. And again, it's been an honor and a pleasure to help them as much as I could. But also, as a prosecutor, it's difficult to stand on the sidelines and watch the officers do their work, because prosecutors can't go to work until the officers and the investigators have found that person and thankfully in this case returned everyone safely. So now it's time for the prosecution to get to work. Law enforcement still has work to do, and I know they will continue to work to build our cases for prosecution. And but it's now, I'm grateful to say that now I can get busy as a prosecutor doing my job and hopefully bringing justice in this case. The state, as you all know, has an aggravated kidnapping charge and a misdemeanor sexual contact with a minor charge. I've been in collaboration with the U.S. Attorney's Office about the possibility of federal charges being brought and how best to address that situation along with the state charges. I met recently with the interim U.S. Attorney here, and they have been more than cooperative, and I believe at this time I'll turn it over to him and let him share a little bit about the potential charges. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jack Smith. I'm the acting United States Attorney for the Middle District of Tennessee. I wanted to start by just complimenting our law enforcement partners here. on the amazing job they did in this case. It was only yesterday that General Cooper and myself got together with FBI and TBI to go over the state of the investigation, and I left that meeting thinking there was literally nothing that these folks could do that hadn't already been being done. And I'm just so happy to see that this case has come to a good resolution. I can also tell you today that earlier today, my office filed federal charges against the defendant in this case. He is charged with transportation of a minor across state lines for the purpose of having criminal sexual intercourse. He will face a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years on those charges and possibly quite longer. And as General Cooper said, he and I will work together on this investigation to make sure that justice is done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Chief Deputy Ray Jeter, Murray County Sheriff's Department. It's a good day, and I'd like to lead with that, but I'm going to be very brief. First of all, I would just like to thank everyone for their help in this peaceful resolution to this case. The Sheriff Bucky Rowland and the Murray County Sheriff's Department partnered with TBI, with the FBI, very early in this case, and it has been a group effort ever since. To that end, Sheriff Rowland and I would like to thank the TBI. We would like to thank the FBI. We'd also would like to thank all the local agencies across this country for their help. We fielded nearly 1,500 tips in this process, and in that process, we partnered with every agency along the way, and we thank you for that. We'd also would like to thank our own people. Our own people put in the dedication and the countless hours they put in to see this resolution, and we thank you at the Sheriff's Department. We also would like to thank the media. We'd like to thank you for putting this and putting our message out and kept this going. We appreciate that. We also would like to thank the public. Ultimately, it took a tip from the public to see this resolution, and to the public, I say I thank you for your help. We will continue to work with TBI, we'll continue to work with the FBI, and we'll continue to work with these agencies as we continue our investigation. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Matt Espinshade with the Federal Bureau of Investigation here in Nashville. Again, I'd just like to echo those thanks to countless numbers of officers across the country who helped us to run down over nearly 1,500 leads, to the officers here from the agencies that are standing in front of you who put in countless hours. And they ask nothing of that, just that the justice is done. And in this case, I feel we're on the tip of that. We are now out of the search stage. We are going to pursue justice in this case, and along that time I hope that we can heal as a community, as the victims, and I'd just like to thank everyone in this room because you kept this at the forefront of the news. Great job by TBI for leading up this cause, Murray County Sheriff's Office. We're glad to play a part of it as the FBI, and now we're on to the prosecution stage. So thank you very much to everyone.
Just want to also let you know that representing TBI is our Deputy Director, Jason Locke. At this point, we will open it up for any questions. As I've indicated, this is still an active and ongoing investigation and a fluid situation in terms of the recovery of Elizabeth Thomas and the arrest of Tad Cummins, so we might be limited in terms of what we can offer, but we'll certainly try to do our very best.
This is a question for General Cooper. You've been very close to this all the way through. Can you say anything about Elizabeth Thomas's condition?
At this time, all we know is that she's apparently healthy and unharmed. It will be, of course, our knowing that, our main concern is how is she emotionally and mentally. And we're going to see to it that not only do we look at her as a potential witness and a victim in this case, but also as someone that if she needs help, whatever help we can offer, we will make sure that's provided for her.
What is the help that what might be provided after something like this?
Well, there are agencies right in our district that their sole purpose is to treat child victims of abuse, whether it's emotional abuse, physical abuse, or sexual abuse, and they can refer that child to the appropriate entities, whether it be counselors or therapists, and things like that to get the help they need so that they can move on past this stage in their life.
And immediately now?
And immediately, as soon as we can, as soon as we get her back, and of course we don't want to disrupt her life any more than we have to, and we want her to reacquaint herself with her family and her friends, and lead as normal a life as possible. But as soon as she's ready for any help we can offer, it'll be there for her.
When do you think that she will land here in Nashville, and where might she come in, B&A, or is it going to be a different runway?
I'll let the director answer that.
As I said, we've got agents en route on TBI aircraft right now. We're not going to disclose exactly where we will be bringing her back. I think she's been through enough, and as quickly as we can get her back here to a safe environment, she will be better. So we won't disclose where we'll be bringing her back, but we are en route right now to go get her.
What can you say about the commune? We'd heard initially that they were found at or near a commune. What can you say about that?
We really can't say anything right now. Like I said, agents are en route. We will be going to the location, obviously to collect any type of evidence that we need to collect, and to scour that crime scene. But they're not there yet. They're just en route. So, yes.
Is there any evidence that she was assisting Tad or assisting in this?
We don't want to get into the specifics of the investigation, but at the end of the day, she's 15 years old. She's 15 years old. She's a young girl that's with a grown man that's 50 years old. So he needs to be held accountable for kidnapping this girl.
Sir, how did they survive?
We don't know yet. We'll try to find all of that out once we get out there.
Director, it sounds like the officers who are on the scene, they staked out that vehicle. Is that how they were caught, how he was caught? They came back to the vehicle and they made the arrest?
No, that we're not going to go into the specifics of how they were caught, but that vehicle was under surveillance. We felt confident that they were there.
Director, can you say, is a commune the place where they were found? This cabin, was that area, the people around it, were they cooperating?
It's been depicted as a commune, but obviously some good citizen, whether a part of that area, was a part of that area, saw the vehicle, reported it to us here at TBI headquarters. We in turn call local authorities. So whatever you want to call it, cabin, commune, some good, honest citizen wanting to do the right thing did the right thing. And that's what we've been counting on. We
saw them in the cabin, presumably, or there.
Well, saw the vehicle, and reported it. We were able, local law enforcement was able to confirm it was the vehicle. But you got to understand, we mobilized a nation during this 6 weeks. We mobilized a nation. And when you do that, something good most likely is going to happen, because you can't hide from that many millions of people that are looking for you. So I'm most proud of what you've done as the media, what the citizens have done in this country to help us and mobilize and have BI eyes and ears. And that's how we're here today.
You said a TBI aircraft will be flying Elizabeth back.
Yes.
Is that standard, or is this something special?
That's something that General Cooper and I discussed earlier today, and we feel like in this case that is the best way to handle this situation and what's best for Elizabeth.
Where is Elizabeth Thomas's family?
I'm sorry?
Where is Elizabeth Thomas's family?
I'm not sure, General. Do you know?
To the best of my knowledge, they're in Columbia, at or near their residence, and they're just awaiting eagerly for Elizabeth to come home.
Now, of course, after they were found, Elizabeth was reunited with her family in a private location, and she also entered inpatient counseling. And it was during this counseling that Elizabeth revealed she had been raped by Tad Cummins nearly every single day since they went on the run. It's estimated between 30 and 35 times in that 38 days. Just horrific. By September of 2017, she was actually living with her older brother, who was a correctional officer. Now, it's worth mentioning that in 2024, her brother actually did some jail time after it was proven he did not report some inmate on inmate rape in the facility he was a correctional officer at. And I've just kind of found that strange considering what his sister had been through. You would think that's something that he wouldn't let anybody get away with in his presence, but apparently he did. He was convicted of it. Now, in 2018, at 17 years old, Elizabeth gets engaged to her friend, Skylar Durla, and she marries him the next year in 2019 in a secret ceremony. So she was 18 when she got married. Now, Cummins, he faced federal charges for transporting a minor across state lines with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity and also obstruction of justice. He pleaded guilty, avoiding a trial, cut a deal, right? And in 2019, January of 2019, he gets sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, at the hearing, Elizabeth delivered a tearful victim impact statement calling him a sick criminal who robbed her of her childhood, and she suggested a 38-year sentence. And she had a reason for that. It was 1 year for each day that he took from her. And I found that to be very freaking poetic. In August of 2023, incidentally, her husband and herself welcomed their first child.
Jim, did you see what happened in Texas today?
Wait, before you tell me that, let me tell you what happened in New York.
It cannot be as crazy as the case I told you about yesterday in Louisiana.
You know what? We should do a podcast about it.
And with that, we did. Crime Wire Weekly covers the crime news headlines that have dominated the week.
We cover trending crimes from all over the country and even sprinkle in a few globally.
Crime Wire Weekly is available now wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Simply by searching Crime Wire Weekly or clicking the link in the description of this podcast. And there you have it. That is the story of bad teacher Tad Cummins. Thank you so much for listening. It is New Year's Eve. I believe I'm releasing this one on New Year's Eve. So if it is, look, party tonight, but have a great time. Be safe. Call an Uber. All of those sorts of things. And I do want to take a second to thank all of you for making my year here at Exposed 2025 a phenomenal year. I got some great things coming up headed your way in 2026. I appreciate all of you who listen so much. Please share these podcasts wherever you're listening on your social media. It helps to grow the show. And until next time, for Exposed Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love. Happy New Year, y'all.